Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mary, the Stitchcraft Queen. Today is, I think it's the 25th. Hold on, let me look. 26th. It's Friday the 26th. Sorry. All the days are like melting together. One, because of baby, but two, my husband is actually currently out of town at the time of recording this. I will be posting this not today, but in a couple days. Because I want to try to get it like as close to the end of the month as possible. But anyways, this was the best time for me to record because we will be going out of town, like as a family right after the end of the month. So here we are recording a few days early. But anyways, it is crazy that we are already like halfway through the year. It's already almost July. I feel like though I've made a lot more progress on knitting and crochet than I like thought that I would have with a baby, and so I've been very like happy with that and with that progress. But yeah, anyways, I guess I forgot, yes, I got a new haircut. Chopped off all my hair to kind of it was called like a Bixie cut online, but I think next time I want to go even shorter. But I've enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. But yeah, anyways, let's get into our projects. I do have one finished project. Oh, and here's the scrap yarn from it. It is my Manhattan hat, the second one that I did. And this one was using from Knit Circus. I even have the label. I'm so proud of myself. This is Fear is the Mind Killer, a Dune colorway. I did do the decreases for the brim differently this time. And it's still laddered on one side. I need to double check. Well, it's kind of laddered on both sides. I might just need to do, because there is one where you can flip it inside out, and then do the decreases that way, and maybe I will try that on the next hat that I do. I'm hoping too, though, that blocking, because the laddering on this doesn't seem quite as bad as my other one that I did, I'm hoping blocking can help take some of that out. But yeah, we can try it on so you can see. Again, this is not blocked. I do think, though, when I make other versions of this hat, I want it to be a little bit bigger just so that this is a little more like prominent, because it's kind of like my lower ear is down here and I like my hats to cover my whole ear, so if I do that, it's just like a tiny little blip out of the bag. So I think I've been knitting it to pattern. I do just need to knit these a little bit longer, so next one will be knit longer. But this is my one finished object. Yeah, I was supposed to have two, but we'll get into that in just a second. This is all the yarn I had left. It's probably like 10 to 20 ounces, I would say. So not bad. It was a DK weight yarn. Yeah, not terrible. Like leftovers. But now I know I can knit it a little bit shorter even. Or not shorter, a little bit longer, and use even more of that skein. So that will be fun. Okay. Now on to the other project that was supposed to be finished and would have been finished. And we'll talk all about it because this was my main project. So this is the Sophie hood scarf thing, and it's not as long because I literally had one side. It goes all the way up to here. I had it pinned up because it was just, I didn't want to like ruin the yarn as I was knitting back and forth and back and forth. But yeah, so we're gonna do a little story time. So I knit the whole first side, and I feel like the first side took a lot longer, and I always feel like the first side, when you're increasing, it always just feels longer because the rows are getting, instead of like being really short, the rows are getting like longer and longer and taking more time to knit. Instead, I got to where I was supposed to finish at the number of stitches, and I measured, and in the pattern it says the number of stitches isn't really what matters most, but it's how wide it is. And I measured and I was like almost 2 inches off it, so I don't know what it was. I have like a very similar yarn weight, or at least I thought I did. It might be like a tension thing. I use the same needle. Again, this is why people gauge swatch. I do not gauge swatch. I don't have the time or patience, but not big of a deal. I just did more increases. I did it more rapid because I was fine with the length. Yeah, and so you can see kind of like right here, there's a little bit more of a slope than with the rest of, the whole the whole scarf. And that's because I was doing increases at a faster pace than before. But I did get all the way up to the brim, and I was like, my skeins of yarn are looking like they're probably half, if not a little more than half used. So I weighed them, and sure enough, my skeins of yarn were both at right about 43 grams. So I was like, okay, well, let me find another yarn that kind of matches. This is the color of the yarn. This is it's a one-of-a-kind colorway from Hedgehog Fiber. It's almost like a variegated royal blue. And they do what's called these potlucks, where they let their dyers just kind of have fun and do like these one pot dyes essentially. And so this was the one I fell in love with and bought when they did this. It was like 2 years ago. But yeah, pretty royal blue. And then it came also with this alpaca boucle, which I had been wanting to try for a while. So I'm really happy that I got to try that out. The closest yarn that I could find that was also fingering weight. This is from Malabrigo. I actually have the tag over here. Ultimate sock yarn, and this is color 807 Côte d'Azur. I don't know. I think it's it's Spanish, I think is the name. My husband would be able to say it beautifully. But anyway, so this is more of like a navy blue, but it matched with the darker parts. So I wound this up. I was going to use it anyways for a hat, so I'm like, we'll just do this hat next. Wound off 17 grams, so more than what I was supposed to need, and used it in the top of the brim. You can hardly even, if you look really close and there's a different yarn on the side, you can kind of tell, but if you're looking from far away, you can hardly tell anything, and a lot of that is because I'm using 3 yarns held together, including the alpaca boucle, which is awesome. And then I got all the way down. You can actually see my knot right here. Well, where was it? Hold on, sorry, I didn't get all the way down there. I used it till right here. It was just a few decreases after finishing the hood part. And then I got all the way down to right here. You can see again my knot that I will snip eventually. And I realized that my other skein of yarn was about to run out. And so, which I knew one of them would, and then I just was going to hold it double. And so I did. I held it double. Yeah, I held it double for a while, and then it only lasted, though, a few inches of me holding it double before I got down to, the remnants. I'm like, this is not going to work. I still have quite a bit left. And so then I re-put in this yarn, which now you can see is not attached to anything, and worked a few rows and realized this yarn was still almost gone, and I still had plenty more to knit. So I was like, okay, there's a few options. Either I can use up this yarn until it's out and then double the darker yarn, but then it would be noticeable. I feel like the color change. And I didn't want that. So I was like, probably not a good option. And then I went to my closet where I've been keeping all of my row 1 scraps and looked through those, and there was a couple that matched, but I was like, they're 5-ish grams each, less than 5 grams. So I was like, I think I would need a couple of them, and to have a couple different, they're not even super similar, but very fairly different shades of blue put into here, it will be probably fairly noticeable. So I didn't want that. So the last thing I did was I found this blue skein yarn that I had actually gotten these. I'll be making my daughter baby cardigans for this next winter. Very excited for that, so that will be fun. But I got these a while ago, and this is cotton yarn, and so I held it up. I was like, okay, you know what? That is actually it's a decent match. It matches the lighter colors in here, and so I think that this with the boucle is going to look just fine. But I was like, this is cotton yarn, and I personally have not used cotton yarn actually ever. I've used wool. Now I've used alpaca boucle, and I have used acrylic, but I've never used cotton yarn. And I have heard that it is a lot stiffer and it doesn't stretch like wool does. So I didn't want like the end part, the very end part of my hood that I worked so hard on to like have a completely different texture. So I got on to, this is Circulo Ann is this one. I got on and to their website and found that they also do wool. And they have the exact same color. The color is coded here, but it's the color Archipelago, or at least that's what it says online, but it's the same color number. And so I ordered a skein, one skein of fingering weight of this color, and it will be in the mail. I actually paid more for shipping because I just want to, I am so good. I'm doing so good on this, and I just want to finish it because I know I have good momentum. So it should be here by the end of the month. The 29th and 30th is like when it's supposed to arrive. And once it does, I'm just going to finish it. This should only take me like a day, maybe two to finish because I'm like, I have like less, I think I have 25 or less, stitches on my needle. So it was like flying by right before I ran out of yarn. So anyways, that is the saga with this, but this will be finished hopefully. If it comes on the 29th and 30th, I'm going to really try to finish it by the end of the month. But if not, it'll be finished like within the first week of June, or not June, July. It is June right now. So yeah, that is the whole saga with this and the coloring and all that. But overall, I'm very happy with it. The last thing too I have to do is sew up this little back side of the hood, but we will do that last. But yeah, I've been loving it. I also will have enough of this alpaca to probably put in a hat. I weighed it the other day and I had just under half the skein left. For those of you that don't know, it's because of the much lighter yarn weight. There's more yardage per 100 grams. And so because of that, you can use like the same amount of yards, but it's less of like the total weight, and so you still have a ton left over. So anyways, that is the end of this. Also, this bag is by Della Q. This is the first one I got from a local yarn store in Bountiful, and this is like the best bag to have with a baby while you're like trying to knit, because with my other ones there's like zippers and stuff that she can like very easily chew on, and I don't really want that. But this one she loves to scratch because it's like the mesh stuff. And there's only really one zipper, and then there's like a snap. There's some snaps, but she doesn't generally try to chew on those. So this is a great bag to have with a baby if you're trying to knit. All right, so that is that big project. Let's go. I have to remember which one is next. Yes, okay. So next is our Beetles Battenberg blanket. Now this is the Battenberg blanket. I forgot who the pattern designer is. And mine's going to be huge. It's going to be like a king size blanket. And each color I have to knit I have to crochet 42 of. And it's coming along pretty good. My goal with this is to do 2 colors, or 2 skeins essentially a month. And I have been following pretty good. So this is what it's looking like so far. We got some kind of brighter colors, and we transitioned into kind of some more like darker, moodier colors. This one is, do I have the colorways right here? I do. Nope, not that one. I knew that one. The red one is Lady Madonna, and that one is Sunday Fiber Co. And then this gold one is Golden Slumbers by Wool and Vinyl. And yeah, it's looking very, very good. I love it very much. I worked really hard on this again to get all of the squares added. Like, I made all the squares, I think, in like 3 or 4 days. And then I added them. It took me a week because I have like work days and whatever. And if I have a work day, it takes longer to add them. But I think I still got them all added in within like a week to a week and a half. So I didn't work too much on my hood at that point, even though I had cast it on, because I just wanted, you can't even see my new color. There it is, because I just wanted to wrap this color up. This color too, I knew would be one of like the most not motivational ones to add, because I'm not in love with, like, I like, the gold was fine. The red though, I'm not a red girl. I've never really loved it very much. So, but they're added now, so yay. And then the next color combo is let's see, I think this one's Octopus's Garden. This is Sunday Fiber Co. This one will be right here. This is the joining one. So it will be by that kind of gold and red. And then on top of it is going to be this lovely pink. This one, I believe, is Strawberry Fields by Wool and Vinyl. So yes, very excited about that. I got it all caked up because I thought I might have a little bit of time to like work on those when I'm playing with my baby. It used to be that my baby could not really, they can't entertain themselves very long for a while, but she kind of hit, I feel like, a good milestone where now she can entertain herself for 20, 30 minutes almost at a time, and then she'll want me to like come play with her and help her and whatever. But for a while it was like she could only entertain herself with a toy for like a couple of minutes. And so I'd be able to crochet those squares because I have the pattern memorized. Very easy to follow pattern. And it would just be, I would get a couple stitches in on a square and then I could set it down. If I lost a stitch, it wasn't that big of a deal because it's crochet. You can just easily pick it back up. And yeah, very easy to like read and memorize pattern. So that is why I was getting so much done on that. But anyways, now my kid could entertain herself for longer. And so I've actually been able to like bring out even some of my more complicated knits and work on those while she's playing. So that's been fun. Okay, now on to kind of the next thing. And I actually cast both of these on pretty early on in the month, especially this one. So these are my new hats. These are going to be the hats for July and August. Again, I do have a goal of doing one hat a month. And I'm doing DK weight or fingering weight held double to just try to use up more of my stash, my random stash. I feel like every knitter has at least somewhat of a stash of just yarn that you thought looked pretty and you got it because you're like, oh, I'll make socks or I'll make a hat with it or I'll add it to X project, and then you never did. So we're trying to use that random yarn up because I do have a big stash, but it's all yarn that has a project assigned to it. So now I just have to work through it, which will take many years, but that's fine. So yes, this, you can hardly see it there. There we go. It's a Malabrigo yarn. Let me get the colorways out. So the green is Malabrigo, and this is just sock yarn by Malabrigo. Color is 346 or Fiona, and it's a very foresty green. I know it's hard to see with the colors or the lighting. Very pretty. And then the other one is from Hugh Loco, and it's their Backyard Chicken Collection. I was gonna get all of them and make them into a blanket, and then I only got 3 of them. And so I just kind of, it was at the point where I was like, I have this huge yarn stash. Do I really need more yarn? So I didn't continue collecting them. But the brown is the French Marin, and this is from her 2024 collection. And it has some of those, I'll actually just pull the skein out. It has some of those darker foresty green parts, but then it's just a lot of really pretty browns. And then this is the Manhattan Hat pattern. I want to say it's by Tori Yu, but that might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. So yeah, that is that hat. Again, I cast it on, and then I worked on it for a while, when I was just with my baby, because again, it's very easy. You can pick up and put down. Yeah, about 1.5 inches to 2 inches is what I got done on that. And that was just working on it for, 10, 20 minutes a day for quite a while. So there's that one. And then the other hat, I really have wanted, so not necessarily wanted, but I've needed to cast on a Musselburgh hat, because me and my husband at night, oh, sorry, I'm hitting our little ottoman. Hold on, there we go. At night, we will go now into the bedroom at 10 o'clock and then watch one more show and then go to sleep. Or if our baby is fussy, we'll go in and just be with her, and that helps calm her down sometimes if she will not go to sleep. So I was like, I want a knitting project that I can just knit on in the dark and not have to worry about stitch counts or anything. So I was a Musselburgh hat, and then this is perfect. So yes, I cast it on for a while, and then I wasn't able to do the increases, so it was kind of sitting for a second. But but yesterday and the day before I was able to really crank out those increases, and now it's in a spot where I can knit on. So I actually knit on this in the dark the other day for a little while. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I got about 5 rounds done in the dark. That's my starting of the normal knitting marker. But yeah, if you have not knit this pattern, it is great. I have knit so many that for a second I got a little tired of it, which is why I swapped to the Manhattan hat, but it is a fantastic pattern. And the yarn that I am using, this is another Malabrigo yarn. The colorway is, and this is Ultimate Sock. They have 2 different, there's Sock and Ultimate Sock. And this is color 363 Pastel. And then the other one, because I'm doing a 2-sided one, reversible. This is another one of Hugh Loco's hen collection. I guess I can pull the tag out. I like to keep the tag in though, because then it helps me. Oh, is this the blue one? Yeah, hold on, let me look at the other tag. Because the other one also has this name on it, it's just not whatever one is down. So this one is the blue Orpington. There we go. And again, the 2024 collection. So there's that. I think that both of these are going to be Christmas presents, but we will see how I'm feeling once they're all knit up. It's funny because I love the color green, and then both of the green hats that I have, I'm like, I think I might give those as Christmas gifts. Even though I would wear them a lot. I do have another one that I've made that might be my other Christmas gift, actually, but we'll see. That one needs to be blocked first. So yes, that is that hat. Okay, and then the other hat that I am going to cast on, because I was like, I am going to knit through this Musselburgh hat probably faster than I expect, because that tends to happen, is these 2. I don't even have a bag for them because they were supposed to be in this bag. I tried to like limit my number of cast-ons. I try to like I found this year. It's really good. I keep the same bags and then I just like rotate which project is in them. So yeah, this one has not been cast on yet, but I probably will now that that one is done. I wanted a rainbow one because June was Pride Month, so I caked this up. Well, I pulled it and then I just barely caked it up a couple days ago. When I caked this one up for my hood, my Sophie hood. I weighed this morning too. This has 80 grams left. It's like 79.3 or whatever, but basically 80 grams. I'll probably just use this one. I'll knit this one first. I like to do the solid color first because it's the more boring one. And so when I'm like, I kind of have a little more like steam and like want to do the project, it's easier for me to get through this. I found, whereas if I do the solid color last and I'm not in love with the solid color, it's harder for me to get through because then I'm like, it's just like, it's plain knitting in a solid color. Whereas if you have like a variegated, it can be a little more fun. But yeah, the blue, again, is Ultimate Sock Yarn by Malabrigo, and this is 807 Côte d'Azur. And then the rainbow one is from Stitchin' with Yarn, and this was actually from St. Patrick's Day of 2024, and it came with a couple minis, but those are going to go into my row 1 blanket instead. And this one's called Treasure Trove. So very fun, very pretty. I do also have one other like rainbow yarn that I have paired up with a different color that will be really fun to cast on later. But this one should hopefully be cast on and in just straight knitting by the end of next month. And then I will have through September's hats. I also already know what my other, because I think now I want to have one Musselburgh and then one Manhattan hat on my needles almost at all times, just so I have like 2 fairly easy knitting projects going. I can just like quickly take on the go with me. And I have one more of the Dune colorways that I'm going to, I think, knit up into the other Manhattan hat. So I will, and that one's already caked up because Knit Circus yarns come already caked up, so that will be pretty easy. Okay, and now for the fun cast on. Hold on, I gotta get them all here. So, for those of you that know, in 2024 was the year I got all the yarn. But my local yarn store had they they started doing this. They did it for a while and they like got rid of it and then they brought it back. But they did like a color of the month and they would have like a table with like a whole bunch of like notions, yarns that were dyed specifically for them and, etc. that they would put on this table. And so I made my first straw cardigan and then I started getting the same number of skeins so I can make mini straw cardigans by Joji Locatelli in mini colors because pre-pregnancy, I wore cardigans almost every single day because I get very cold. It's very easy just to grab a cardigan that like goes with either my mood or my outfit and bring it with me. And so I want another whole rainbow of cardigans. When we moved to Utah too, a lot of mine were like super old and starting to get like holes in them or like look super worn. They were all store-bought ones. I didn't have any handmade ones at that point. Well, except for like the 3 that I had made. But the ones that I wore like very much daily had like where they were starting to look very worn. And so I was like, you know what, it's time. Let me just like make a whole rainbow of of cardigans. And I like the straw cardigan, very easy pattern to follow. And so we're just gonna make a whole bunch of those. I love the fit of them too, and where it like lands on my body. Slightly cropped, but not like too cropped. It hits like kind of like right at the hip bone almost. So I like that. But anyway, so it's like 25 sweater quantities for the straw cardigan. And they have been caked up now for 2 years. I was supposed to start these a year and a half ago when we moved here. And then I was finishing up some of like the leftover whips on my needles. And then I got pregnant and super sick and couldn't knit. And since, ending my pregnancy I didn't end it. I had a baby. So we need to make that very clear. I don't want to go to jail for that. Because now you can. But anyway, since having the baby and getting a few more things like in order and trying to get through some of the like random skeins that I have had lying around and a few of the other random whips that I had, we are now finally here where we had a little cast on party. Not even, I only cast on 2 of the 5. I'm going to work on 5 at a time until I'm done with them. It'll probably take me a good like 2 years, but I am very, very excited. So let me get these out. And the reason I only cast on 2 is because I only had, at the moment, 2 sets of needles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially work them to the same point, and then I will I'll work each cardigan to one point, and then I'll swap my needles, and then work it to another point, swap my needles, and that way like they're all kind of at the same stage, and I don't have to go back and like figure out, I don't have to have essentially 5 different patterns with 5 different markers. I can just be like, oh yeah, I'm at this section, and this is what we're working on. So first color that I cast on actually is, let me make sure it's the right side. Yes, this is the right side. It goes this way. It's worked top down. We'll hold it this way. This is the July colorway. I have the tags already. I was so smart when I wound these. This is spun right round. This is their Squish DK. And this is the Colorful Yarns July 2024 colorway. And it's funny because you look at it in the cake and it looks very like red, white, and blue. But knitting it up, I'm like, this just looks like fun summer colors. There's a lot of like kind of corally and pink colors, and it even goes into purples. And then there's the darker blues, and then there are some reds in here. There's even like some oranges almost. So this just is like a very fun, almost summery colorway, which I love. I am not the hugest fan of like all the red, white, and blue, kind of BS that we have to see around this time of the year. And so that's why I think I also chose this one, because the other colorways, if I remember right, were very much like in your face, here's America and all that. And so I wanted something a little kind of less that way. And so that's what I did. I am doing a modification to the pattern. You can already see it right here. The first time I did this, I just knit this, which was also a modification. This little 11, I believe it's 11 stitches, is supposed to be a little like cable flowery like texture detail. If you look at the pattern, you'll see it. And she calls that the straw pattern, or like the straw cable or whatever. And so that's why it's called the straw cardigan. I do not like that, and I didn't want to like spend time on that. So on these ones, I'm doing just a little purl ridge. On my original one, which is green, I just left this knit. Yeah, but I decided, I'm feeling a little different. We're going to do purl. This is only through the yoke. The yoke takes concentration as well anyways, so I'm like, might as well just do that. So that's the first one that I cast on. And I've gotten through 2 repeats of the yoke. I have, let's see, I have 7 more, I believe, to do. You have to do a lot of repeats for the first part of the yoke, and then there's another part. I'm going to get through the first part of the yoke with all my yarns, and then I will go back and do the second part of the yoke. And that way I only have to, kind of memorize one part of the pattern at a time. I think it will be pretty easy. Okay, and then this is the other colorway that I cast on. This is another spun right round. I decided to do the spun right round ones first, or at least like the first couple that I did, so I can, because I want to make sure that like my gauge is okay. And okay, so I don't gauge swatch, which is, not good. But I was watching the other day, I forgot who it was. Her yarn brand is Knitting for the People, I believe. But now it's like Needles, Hands, and Work or something. Needles, Hands, and People or something. Great, awesome. But she was having I believe it's her sister-in-law or sister on, who just rediscovered knitting. And they were talking about gauge swatching and how, like, it's important, but you don't, on every single pattern, you don't technically have to gauge swatch. But one good thing to do is just to measure how many stitches per inch you're getting. And I already like kind of do this with the Musselburgh hat and the Manhattan hat, where you cast on the size that you think you're gonna be, and then you knit a certain amount, measure an inch, and then you just, because so many patterns are like knit to this many inches, that's just how I've done it. But I didn't ever think to measure like the width. It's only really been the height. Or I guess the row counts instead of the stitch counts. But I went ahead and did that for this. And I forgot to write it down, but that's okay because I can just remeasure it when I need to. And yeah, I didn't do that for my first one, but I want to make sure, and the reason too is that I wanted to do this, and it was very good that I listened to this podcast YouTube show at this time, is because I realized when I was looking at these, that these are, you can probably see, it's 230 yards per 115 grams. And so that is like where the little bit of a problem lies, because most DK weight yarns, let me find the other one. This is the other DK weight, different dyer though, is, 250 yards. This one is 246 yards per 100 grams. And again, that probably doesn't seem like a huge deal, but I remember with my first one, I had like tiny bit of yarn left. And so we are going to make sure that with these ones, I am getting still a gauge that will line up with Hohi's gauge. And if my gauge is bigger than hers, then I will probably actually just like, I'll take it off the needles and restart, and do like the smaller size. This size is actually, it is a bigger gauge than what Hohi's original gauge is in the pattern, but I know that I like the fit of my first one, so I'm okay with that. However, the measurements of the size I'm knitting, which I believe is size medium or the third size, its measurements like are what I like in a cardigan anyways, so it'll be fine if I meet those gauge requirements. So anyways, that's why I was like, well, I should probably like measure while I'm doing this. I could also like just not do quite as many like rounds of the yoke, which is actually probably false. I probably still need the same number. I just need to, what's it called? I just need to, now I forgot what I was saying. I just need to make sure that the size and the gauge fits what I want, but same number of yoke rows because we need that to fit. But anyways, back to the yarn. This one, which I love how this is working up, it just looks so pretty and like floral. This one was Colorful Yarns May 2024, so that's why it's very springy and pretty. I love purples. I had like a purple cardigan. This was like the saddest one that I got rid of when we moved. it, like, I wore it so much. It was getting holes in it. I loved it though. It was made of like acrylic yarn too, so I was like, I'm okay getting rid of this. But yes, anyways, those are the two that I cast on. Oh, the other thing too is I had heard, sorry, I'm grabbing something here. I had heard from a couple people about Chowgu quads on the interwebs. And this is what they look like. They are square needles. Kind of weird. But I had heard that like it had helped with hand pain or like wrist pain. So I'm like, why not? I need a couple more pairs of needles for this. It'll be useful. So let me go ahead and try them out. So that's what these needles are. They are square needles, still the size that I need for the pattern, size 6s. I don't really know how I like them so far. Like, sometimes I get in a groove and I really like them, but other times I'm like, they clink weird because they have like angles. But I mean, so far it's fine. I haven't noticed that big of a difference. Obviously, I haven't knit on them too much. It's only been like probably 2 hours of knitting that I've done on these. But yeah. Anyways, then let's go on to the other yarn that I'll be casting on this month and hopefully getting through the first part of the yoke. This is the colorway Heartless by Handful of Yarn. It's hard to see, but it's like a lot of really dark purples, blues, and even there's some greens in there. Very beautiful. This one is inspired by Howl's Moving Castle. Very, very beautiful, and I'm very excited to be working with this. And this is on Epic DK. I love this bag too. It's in my Scooby-Doo bag. This one's by 3 by the Sea. Yeah. And then the next one is another Spun Right Round yarn. This one was Colorful Yarns June 2024 on their Squish DK. Again, very pretty. I like that it's like, I don't know. It's just, I know that a lot of people don't like variegated yarns in sweaters, but I think they're so pretty and they're so, so fun. Yeah. I might actually, though, save these two. Because these two, I'm just realizing as I'm going through my yarn, there is quite a bit of a difference. These two are a lot more saturated, so I might save these two for the sleeves and the button band and do this for everything else. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, because we're going to switch these around. Okay, there we go. So yeah, but anyways, very pretty. Blues, purples, a little bit of pinks in there, very pretty. And then lastly, and this is the one that I'm going to do a little differently, I think. So this one is Ruby and Roses. This is Baroque, and this is on their Plump Rose base. I believe I know that I got a couple like fingering weight quantities of this, and I believe it was all like, I love the color. I love this brown. I'm not usually like a brown color girl, but I love this. It's like, it's hard to pick up on. It's kind of more of like a purpley brown almost, you want to say. But yeah, this one is the one I'm a little more concerned about because it's 400 yards per 100 grams. This is 250 yards, and this one's 240 yards. But we'll be holding it double. This one, I think too, what I'm going to do is once I get through the yoke, I'll work like maybe an inch of the body just so it like holds together still. And then I'm going to work the sleeves first. And then I'll go back to the body and just knit basically as long as I can until I have, you know, probably like, I don't remember how much the button band took. But I'd say probably almost a full skein between the bottom ribbing and then the whole button band because it is a very long button band. But yeah, so that one, my fingering weight ones just might be a little more cropped. And thinking about that at first, I was like, I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I want to make this cardigan with it. And there is one other cardigan she has, which is the Elton cardigan. That is a fingering weight cardigan. I think it's still a raglan, but it uses a mohair as well. And so with the yardage, that's where I'm like a little iffy on that one as well. I still think that it will be fine though. I did on that same podcast I mentioned earlier, I believe it's like hands, needles, and wool or something. Um, but I think her name's, I want to say her name's Jessica. I might be totally wrong. Don't take me on that. But she was knitting a cardigan as well that was chunky wool, and she was just kind of using the leftover of one of her drops that she had or something. It sounded like. Because she didn't have enough to like go as long as she wanted or the pattern called for it. And so it was more of kind of like a bolero type cardigan. It still looks super cute though. And I was like, you know what? I would honestly be fine with that because I do also wear a lot of like more cropped things in the summer. Or at least usually. This year's different because we're on survival mode with the baby. But I was like, I would be fine with that. With wearing like more of a cropped cardigan with a cropped shirt during the summer. So that is that one. So those are the 5 that I will be casting on. Again, I'm going to get through the first bit of yoke, which takes me to like, basically, it takes me from like under 100 stitches to like 250 stitches. So it's a lot of increasing. And then if I remember right, the second part of the yoke increases was almost worse because it wasn't like increasing every other row. It's like they spread them out a little bit further, but then you have to get to like almost 400 stitches if I remember right. So yeah, that will not be very fun, but we are going to do it. So I'm going to get through the first yoke increases because there's 2 sections I remember, and then switch, cast on, and get through the first yoke of 2 more, and then we'll do the last one, and then we'll swap all and go back and then do the second half of the yoke. And I'm really hoping I can get at least through the first half of the yoke on all of them, and then get I want to get almost through the first half of the yoke, or not the first half, sorry. I want to get through the full yoke on all of them this month, but I know that might not be possible. But we'll see. I am going on vacation, so I will have hopefully quite a bit of knitting time. Because we're going with family, and family loves to hold babies. So hopefully I will, I'll have a little more time to knit a little more. But we will see. I'll probably just bring like one and just work on that only. But yeah, we'll see how much I can get done in the week before then. But yeah, that is it from me. I know this has been a lot more of kind of a chatty one, going over whips and plans for whips. But yeah, next month, I know for sure I'll have this one done. So yay. That will be very exciting. I don't know about the hats though, because if I get through at least half of them each, then I consider that, making, continuing towards my goal, because then I just have to finish the last half of both of them in the next month. So, and then I'll have 2 done, which will be for these 2 months. So, we'll see kind of how those play out. Yeah, especially now that I am so excited for all of my fun cardigans. But yeah, look at how cute this bag is too. This one's from 5 to 6, but they no longer make bags. They no longer are really in business, which is really sad, but I am so glad I got a lot of her stuff because I love her bags. But yeah, anyways, that is it from me then this time, and we will see you next month at the end of July. Hopefully with some really good progress and more to show than I did this week. I feel like I knit so much this month, but because I didn't finish my project, it feels like I don't have like quite as much done, but that's okay. I will get that done, and yeah, we'll stay on track with all of my knitting goals, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, stay safe out there. Have fun knitting, and we will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!